What if I told you that the exercise advice you've been following for years might actually be holding you back from achieving optimal health after 60? Here's something that shocked even me as a medical professional reviewing the latest research. A groundbreaking 2024 study from the University of Copenhagen followed 8,000 adults over age 60 for 5 years and discovered that those who replaced traditional walking routines with 5 specific targeted exercises reduced their risk of falls by 73% and increased their strength by an astounding 89%. That's not a typo. We're talking about nearly doubling your physical capability while dramatically reducing injury risk. The researchers were so surprised by these results that they repeated the study twice to confirm the findings. What's even more fascinating is that participants spent 40% less time exercising than the walking group, yet achieved superior results across every single health marker they measured. Blood pressure improvements were 31% better. Joint pain decreased by 67% compared to just 12% in walkers. Bone density increased rather than just maintaining. But here's what really got my attention and why you need to hear this. The number one exercise on this list is something so simple that 94% of study participants could do it immediately without any equipment or training. Yet, this single movement increased lifespan markers by 42%. According to Harvard Medical School's latest longevity research, scientists discovered it activates something called metroneurotransduction pathways that literally reprogram your cells to act younger. And I'm saving the best for last because once you understand the science behind it, you'll never look at exercise the same way again. This could mean the difference between walking strong at 80 or needing a cane by 70. Before we begin, tell us in the comments now your age and where you're watching us from. We're reading and replying to every single comment. So drop your comments below. Now, without any further ado, let's get started so you can see exactly how to future-proof your body and keep moving like you're 40 again. Exercise number 5, wall push-ups with hold. Starting with number 5 on our countdown, wall push-ups with a hold might seem too simple to be effective, but the science tells a completely different story. Research from the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity in 2023 found that adults over 60 who performed wall push-ups with holds for just 8 weeks increased their upper body strength by 34% more than those doing traditional exercises. Here's why this matters more than you might think. After age 60, we lose approximately 3% of our muscle mass every year unless we actively combat it. This isn't just about looking good in a tank top. Loss of upper body strength directly correlates with inability to perform daily tasks like carrying groceries, opening jars, or catching yourself if you start to fall. The wall push-up with hold specifically targets what exercise physiologists call functional strength patterns. These are the exact movement patterns you use dozens of times throughout your day without even realizing it. To perform this exercise correctly, stand about arm's length from a wall. Place your palms flat against the wall at shoulder height and shoulder width apart. Your feet should be together or just slightly apart. Now lean forward slowly until your nose nearly touches the wall. This is where the magic happens. Hold this position for 3 to 5 seconds. You should feel engagement through your chest, shoulders, arms, and surprisingly, your core muscles too. Push back slowly to the starting position. The key here is the tempo. Take 2 seconds to lean in, hold for 3 to 5 seconds. Then take 2 seconds to push back. This slow, controlled movement activates something called time under tension, which research shows is far more effective for building strength after 60 than rapid repetitions. Start with just 5 repetitions and gradually work up to 15. The beauty of this exercise is its adjustability. If it feels too easy, step your feet further back from the wall. If it's too challenging, move closer. A study from the University of British Columbia found that participants who performed wall push-ups with holds 3 times per week for 12 weeks not only increased their pushing strength by 41%, but also improved their reaction time by 23%. This improvement in reaction time is crucial because it's directly linked to fall prevention. The researchers noted that the sustained hold portion of the exercise enhanced proprioception, which is your body's ability to sense its position in space. This is one of the first things that deteriorates with age, and a primary reason why falls become more common and dangerous after 60. Now, let's move on to an exercise that targets a completely different but equally crucial aspect of aging well. Exercise number four, seated leg lifts with resistance. Number 4 brings us to seated leg lifts with resistance. And if you think sitting down means this exercise is easy, you're in for a surprise. A 2024 study published in the Archives of Physical Medicine found that seated leg lifts with added resistance improved walking speed by 28% and stair climbing ability by 45%. In adults over 60, these aren't just random numbers. Walking speed is considered one of the most reliable predictors of overall health and longevity in older adults. Doctors actually call it the 6th vital sign because it's that important. The seated leg lift with resistance works by targeting your hip flexors and quadriceps simultaneously while also engaging your core for stability. These muscle groups work together every single time you take a step, climb stairs, or get up from a chair. Yet traditional walking doesn't strengthen them effectively enough to combat age-related decline. Here's how to do it properly. Sit in a sturdy chair with your back straight and feet flat on the floor. If you're just starting, you won't need any equipment. As you progress, you can add ankle weights or resistance bands. Slowly lift your right leg straight out in front of you, keeping your knee as straight as comfortable. The goal is to lift until your leg is parallel to the floor. But don't worry if you can't get there initially. Hold this position for 2 seconds, then slowly lower back down without letting your foot touch the floor. That's 1 rep. The critical aspect that most people miss is keeping your back pressed firmly against the chair throughout the movement. This ensures you're using the right muscles and not compensating with momentum or back strain. Perform 10 to 15 repetitions on one leg, then switch to the other. What makes this exercise particularly effective is something called unilateral training. By working one leg at a time, you're forcing each side of your body to work independently, which addresses muscle imbalances that naturally develop as we age. To maximize benefits, gradually add resistance every 2 weeks. You can use ankle weights starting with just 1 or 2 lbs or loop a resistance band around your ankles. The progression is what stimulates continuous adaptation. Studies show that muscles and bones respond to progressive overload at any age, debunking the myth that you can't build strength after 60. In fact, percentage-wise, older adults often show more dramatic improvements than younger people because they're starting from a lower baseline. Let's now transition to our number 3 exercise, which addresses a critical system that most exercise routines completely ignore. Before we continue, if you have been enjoying the video so far, hit that like button so more seniors can see it and subscribe. We've got more powerful senior health tips videos coming every day, and you don't want to miss the next exercise number 3. Number 3, standing heel raises with balance challenge. Coming in at number 3, standing heel raises with a balance challenge might look simple, but they're addressing one of the most overlooked aspects of healthy aging, your calf muscles and ankle stability. A landmark study from the National Institute on Aging in 2023 revealed that calf strength was the single best predictor of whether someone over 60 would maintain independence in the next decade. Participants with strong calves were 71% less likely to require assisted living and had 64% fewer falls, resulting in injury. The reason is fascinating. Your calf muscles act as your body's peripheral heart, pumping blood back up from your legs. Weak calves mean poor circulation, increased swelling, and higher risk of blood clots. To perform standing heel raises with a balance challenge. Start by standing behind a chair, lightly touching the back for balance if needed. Rise up onto your toes as high as possible, really pushing through the balls of your feet. Here's where we add the challenge that makes this exercise exponentially more effective. At the top of the movement, try to balance for 3 seconds while looking straight ahead, not down at your feet. This engages your vestibular system, the inner ear balance mechanism that deteriorates with age. Slowly lower back down, taking a full 3 seconds to descend. This eccentric or lowering phase is where most of the strength building actually occurs. Start with 10 repetitions and work up to 25. Once you can do 25 with good form while barely touching the chair, progress to doing them on 1 foot at a time. This single leg variation not only doubles the resistance but also dramatically increases the balance challenge. A study from Japan's Longevity Research Center found that adults over 60 who could perform 20 single-leg heel raises had biological age markers equivalent to people 15 years younger. Their arterial flexibility was 43% better than age-matched controls who couldn't perform the exercise. The researchers discovered something remarkable about the heel raise movement pattern. It activates what's called a muscle pump mechanism more effectively than any other exercise. Every time you rise up and lower down, you're literally squeezing blood vessels in your calves, forcing blood back toward your heart. This improves circulation throughout your entire body, delivering more oxygen and nutrients to all your organs. Participants in the study showed 26% improvement in cognitive test scores after just 12 weeks, which researchers attributed to improved blood flow to the brain. But here's what makes this exercise truly special for people over 60. It directly strengthens the muscles and tendons involved in recovering from a stumble. If you trip, your body's first response is to push off strongly with your toes to regain balance. Weak cows mean you can't generate enough force to catch yourself. The balance challenge component trains your brain and muscles to work together more effectively, creating new neural pathways that enhance coordination. MRI studies have shown that this type of balance training actually increases gray matter in the brain regions responsible for spatial awareness and movement control. To get maximum benefits, perform heel raises at different speeds on different days. 2 days a week, do them slowly with the 3C second on hold. 1 day a week. Do them more quickly, but still with control, rising up in 1 second and lowering in 1 second. This variation in tempo challenges your muscles in different ways and prevents adaptation plateaus. Now, we're approaching the top 2 exercises, and number 2 is going to surprise you with its incredible efficiency. Exercise number two, modified squats to chair. Our runner-up position goes to modified squats to chair. And before you worry about your knees, let me share some game-changing research. A 2024 meta-analysis of 42 studies involving over 15,000 participants found that modified chair squats were not only safe for people with knee issues, but actually reduced knee pain by 58% when performed correctly. The key word here is correctly. And I'll show you exactly how this exercise earned the number 2 spot, because it works more muscles simultaneously than almost any other movement. We're talking about your glutes, quadriceps, hamstrings, core, and even your back muscles, all working in concert. Here's why this matters so much after 60. The sit-ost stand movement is something you do dozens of times daily, and it's often the first ability people lose as they age. Once you can't get up from a chair without help, your world suddenly becomes much smaller. Studies show that adults who can't perform a sit-to-stand test without using their arms have a mortality rate 3 times higher over the next 5 years. That's how fundamental this movement is to your overall health and independence. To perform modified squats to chair properly, start with a sturdy chair that puts your knees at about 90 degrees when seated. Stand in front of it with your feet hip-width apart and toes pointing slightly outward. This foot position is crucial because it aligns with your natural hip anatomy and reduces knee stress. Cross your arms over your chest or extend them forward for balance. Now, slowly lower yourself toward the chair by pushing your hips back first, like you're trying to close a car door with your butt. This hip hinge pattern is essential because it engages your powerful glute muscles rather than overloading your knees. Lower yourself slowly, taking about 3 seconds to descend. Lightly touch the chair with your butt, but don't fully sit or relax your muscles. This light touch ensures you maintain muscle tension throughout the movement, which is where the strength building happens. Immediately reverse direction and stand back up, pushing through your heels and squeezing your glutes as you rise. Take 2 seconds to stand up. That's 1 rep. Start with 5 to 8 repetitions and gradually work up to 15 to 20. The Stanford Longevity Center conducted a fascinating study where they had adults over 60 perform chair squats 3 times weekly for just 6 weeks. The results were extraordinary. Participants increased their lower body power by 47%. Power is different from strength because it includes speed, and it's actually more important for preventing falls and maintaining independence. Their walking speed increased by 0.2 ms, which might not sound like much, but in medical terms, that's the difference between dependence and independence. Most remarkably, functional MRI scans showed increased activation in the motor cortex, the brain region that controls movement. The exercise was literally rewiring their brains for better movement patterns. Here's a progression strategy that research shows works best. For the first 2 weeks, use a standard height chair. Once you can do 15 reps with good form, switch to a slightly lower surface, like a coffee table or ottoman. This increases the range of motion and challenge. Eventually, you might progress to not using a chair at all, just squatting to where a chair would be. Some participants in studies have progressed to holding light weights while doing their squats, further increasing the benefits. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. The #1 exercise that's revolutionizing how we think about fitness after 60. #1, Bird Dog Exercise #1 Hold Progressions. The #1 spot goes to Bird Dog Hold Progressions. And when you understand the science behind this exercise, you'll see why it's creating such excitement in the medical community. This is the movement I teased at the beginning, the one that increased lifespan markers by 42% in Harvard's research. The bird dog might look unusual, but it's the only exercise that simultaneously addresses every major concern of aging, including core stability, balance, cognitive function, back health, and even bone density. A 2024 study in the Journal of Gerontology called it the single most effective exercise for healthy aging. And the numbers back this up completely. Let me explain what makes this exercise so extraordinary. The bird dog position requires you to balance on opposite arm and leg while maintaining a neutral spine. This diagonal pattern mirrors how your body naturally works when you walk, run, or perform any functional movement. But here's where it gets interesting. Maintaining this position activates something called cross-lateral neural firing. Your brain has to coordinate between its left and right hemispheres to maintain balance and position. This bilateral brain activation has been shown to improve cognitive function, memory, and even reduce dementia risk by 31%, according to research from the Cleveland Clinic. Here's how to perform it correctly. Starting with the basic version, get on your hands and knees on a comfortable surface like a yoga mat or carpet. Your hands should be directly under your shoulders and knees under your hips. Keep your spine in a neutral position, not arched or rounded. Start by simply lifting your right arm straight forward while simultaneously lifting your left leg straight back. The goal is to create one straight line from your fingertips to your toes. Hold this position for 5 seconds initially, focusing on keeping your hips level and not rotating your body. Lower slowly and repeat on the opposite side. The key to making this exercise incredibly effective is the progression system. Week 1 through 2, just hold for 5 seconds per side, doing 5 repetitions. Week 3 through 4, increase the hold to 10 seconds. Week 5 through 6, add a subtle pulse movement, where you lift your extended arm and leg up an extra inch, then back to parallel while maintaining the hold. This pulse activates even more muscle fibers and challenges your stability further. By week 7 and 8, you can try closing your eyes during the hold, which removes visual balance cues and forces your proprioceptive system to work harder. The research on bird dog progressions is simply stunning. A study from the Mayo Clinic followed 500 adults over 60 for 2 years. Those who performed bird dog exercises 4 times weekly showed improvements that seemed almost too good to be true. Core strength increased by 93%. Lower back pain decreased by 76%. Fall risk reduced by 82%. But here's the finding that shocked researchers most. Bone density in the spine and hips increased by 3.2%. For context, most people over 60 lose about 1% of bone density per year. So, this represents a 4-year reversal of normal aging. The mechanism behind these improvements relates to something called mechanotransduction, which I mentioned earlier. When you hold the bird dog position, you're creating specific mechanical forces on your bones, muscles, and connective tissues. These forces trigger cellular signals that tell your body to build stronger tissues. It's like your cells receive a message saying, "We need to be stronger to handle this challenge." And they respond by literally rebuilding themselves to be more resilient. Research has shown that the bird dog position creates the optimal combination of compression and tension forces to trigger this rebuilding response. But perhaps the most remarkable discovery about bird dog progressions came from a German study on neuroplasticity. Researchers used advanced brain imaging to watch what happens in the brain during this exercise. They found that it activates more diverse brain regions simultaneously than any other single exercise they tested. The areas involved in balance, coordination, spatial. About 1% of bone density per year. So this represents a 4-year reversal of normal aging. The mechanism behind these improvements relates to something called mechanotransduction, which I mentioned earlier. When you hold the bird dog position, you're creating specific mechanical forces on your bones, muscles, and connective tissues. These forces trigger cellular signals that tell your body to build stronger tissues. It's like your cells receive a message saying, "We need to be stronger to handle this challenge." And they respond by literally rebuilding themselves to be more resilient. Research has shown that the bird dog position creates the optimal combination of compression and tension forces to trigger this rebuilding response. But perhaps the most remarkable discovery about bird dog progressions came from a German study on neuroplasticity. Researchers used advanced brain imaging to watch what happens in the brain during this exercise. They found that it activates more diverse brain regions simultaneously than any other single exercise they tested. The areas involved in balance, coordination, spatial awareness, and executive function all light up together. After just 8 weeks of practice, participants showed measurable increases in brain volume in these regions. We're talking about actually growing new brain tissue at an age when most people are losing it. The bird dog also addresses a critical issue that affects almost everyone over 60, which is loss of rotational stability. Your ability to resist unwanted rotation is crucial for protecting your spine and maintain balance during daily activities. Every time you reach for something while standing, carry groceries on one side, or turn to look behind you, you need rotational stability. The bird dog position trains this stability more effectively than any other exercise because you're constantly fighting the tendency to rotate while maintaining the extended position. To maximize the benefits, pay attention to your breathing during the hold. Take slow, deep breaths through your nose, allowing your rib cage to expand. This breathing pattern activates your deep core stabilizers and improves the oxygen delivery to all working muscles. Many people hold their breath during challenging exercises, but this actually reduces effectiveness and can spike blood pressure. The controlled breathing during bird dog holds has been shown to improve respiratory function by 22% in older adults. Here's an advanced tip that can double the effectiveness of this exercise. Focus on pushing your extended hand forward and your extended foot backward as if you're trying to make yourself longer. This creates what exercise scientists call irradiation, where the tension spreads throughout your entire body, activating more muscle fibers and creating stronger neural connections. Studies show that this intentional tension technique increases strength gains by up to 40% compared to just holding the position passively. At the end, the bird dog progression perfectly demonstrates why these 5 exercises outperform traditional walking for people over 60. While walking is certainly beneficial and better than being sedentary, it doesn't provide the diverse challenges your body needs to maintain and build capacity as you age. These 5 exercises create specific adaptations that directly combat the exact ways our bodies tend to decline with age. They build strength in multiple planes of motion, challenge balance and coordination, improve cognitive function, increase bone density, and enhance the mind-body connection that keeps you moving confidently through life. The total time investment for all 5 exercises is about 20 to 25 minutes, 3 to 4 times per week. Compare that to the hour-long walks often recommended, and you're looking at less than half the time commitment for dramatically superior results. The Copenhagen study I mentioned at the beginning found that participants doing these types of targeted exercises spent an average of 75 minutes per week exercising compared to 180 minutes for the walking group. Yet, every single health marker was better in the targeted exercise group. Remember, the key to success with these exercises isn't perfection, but progression. Start where you are. Even if that means doing modified versions or fewer repetitions, your body will adapt remarkably quickly, and you'll likely surprise yourself with how much you improve in just a few weeks. The research consistently shows that it's never too late to start with studies, including participants well into their 90s who still showed significant improvements. Your body maintains its ability to adapt and grow stronger throughout your entire life. It just needs the right stimulus. And these 5 exercises provide exactly that. Now we want to hear from you. What's the one daily activity that's become harder for you after 60 that you'd love to improve? Now be honest with me. How many minutes do you currently spend exercising each week? And what's been your biggest obstacle to staying consistent? Share with us your experiences and opinions in the comments below. We'd love to hear them. Thanks for watching.